The word mild can mean a lot of things depending on who you ask, but in my mind, the past couple of weeks define it almost perfectly. It was warm, but not too hot. Most of the time it was dry, and that's led a lot of you to ask me, is this what we would call an Indian summer? I did some digging, and I'm letting you know in this week's Heather's Weather Wise. First, let's start with the textbook definition of an Indian summer. And yes, there is one. It's in the Glossary of Meteorology from the American Meteorological Society. It's quite a mouthful there. Anyway, there are three things that are key when it comes to an Indian summer. The days should be warm, of course. The nights should be on the cool side. And usually, this unusually warm pattern later on in the fall is followed by an unusually cool spell earlier in the season. Sound familiar?
Here's a look at the high temperatures every day this September. There's a stretch of some cool but definitely not cold conditions in the beginning of the month. Then there's a big stretch of warmth. There was some humidity mixed in, but not all that much. Most nighttime temperatures were able to drop into the 40s and 50s.
Technically, the weather over the last couple of weeks does fit that definition, but it's a loose definition to begin with. I'm a lot more tempted to say, hey, we're actually having a fall season this year. I did do a little digging and found a couple of years that, to me, say Indian summer a little bit more clearly. They're 2011 and 2015, but in both of those years, the true signature of the Indian summer didn't show up until November.
In both cases, nighttime temperatures dropped into the 20s in late October, a killing frost. But then those Novembers were mild, with a few days with highs in the 70s.
And I know your next question. Both of those years had very little snowfall. But that's much more likely a coincidence rather than a trend. Now here's some information that I found both interesting and a little bit surprising too. Out of the past 20 years, 3 Septembers and 5 Octobers have been below normal. That's it. And if you look at the 30-year average, the past decade has seen both September and October finish about a degree ahead of that number. For more details on those recent trends, be sure to check out WGRZ.com/climate. That's going to do it for this week's episode. I'll see you next week with a new topic, but until then, remember, it's good to be a geek.